Yuna Kim stood at the window of the transport ship and watched the planet grow larger. Wellness 4 looked purple from space. She had never seen a purple planet before. Her hands felt sweaty inside her uniform gloves. In 3 hours, she would meet alien children for the first time. Real aliens. Not the ones from movies or books, but actual living beings from other worlds. Nervous? A voice came from behind her. Yuna turned to see Captain Taiho Shin walking down the narrow hallway. He wore his dark blue uniform with 5 silver medals pinned to his chest. Taiho was tall for a Korean man, almost 6 feet, and he always stood very straight. A little bit, Yuna admitted. Okay, a lot. Taiho smiled. It made him look younger, less like a military officer and more like a regular person. You will do fine. That is why I recommended you for this job. Yuna raised her eyebrows. You recommended me? I thought this was random selection. Nothing in the coalition is random, Taiho said. He looked out the window at the purple planet. We needed someone strong. Someone patient. Someone who understands that teaching is not about showing off. It is about helping others grow. The ship shook slightly as it entered the atmosphere. Yuna grabbed the wall to steady herself. She had been a physical education teacher for 5 years at a school in Seoul. She worked with children every day, taught them exercises, played games with them, helped them become stronger and healthier. But those were human children. She understood human children. These would be alien younglings. Different bodies. Different abilities. Different everything. What if I mess up? Yuna asked quietly. Taiho put a hand on her shoulder. Then you will fix it. That is what humans do best. We adapt. The Galactic Coalition Academy sat in the middle of a vast green field. The grass was actually green, which made Yuna feel a bit better. At least something looked familiar. The main building was enormous, made of white stone that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Hundreds of windows reflected the purple sky. A group of aliens waited at the landing platform. Yuna tried not to stare, but it was hard. She had seen pictures and videos, but nothing prepared her for seeing them in person. The tallest one had blue skin and 4 arms. The shortest one looked like a walking crystal, light shining through their body. Another had feathers instead of hair and large golden eyes. They all wore simple gray robes. Welcome, Captain Shin and Teacher Kim, the blue one said. Their voice sounded like wind chimes. I am Headmaster Quell. We are honored to have a human join our teaching staff. Yuna bowed, the way her grandmother had taught her. A sign of respect. Thank you for having me. Come, Quell said. Let me show you the younglings you will teach. They walked through wide hallways with high ceilings. Everything was big here, built for many different species. Some doors were huge, others were small. Some hallways had water running through channels in the floor. Others had thick carpets. You must understand, Quell said as they walked. Physical development is not a priority for most species. We focus on mental growth, creative thinking, emotional intelligence. I understand, Yuna said, though she felt a small worry growing in her stomach. Humans are unique in your focus on physical strength, another teacher said. This one had crystalline skin that clicked when they moved. Most species see no reason to push the body to extremes. Taiho spoke up. Teacher Kim is not here to push anyone to extremes. She is here to share human methods and learn from your methods too. It is an exchange. They stopped at a large door. Through the window, Yuna could see a courtyard filled with strange equipment. But more importantly, she saw 6 small figures playing together. 2 had feathers and small wings. They hopped around on thin legs. 2 looked like tiny crystals, moving slowly and carefully. 2 were covered in soft fur with 4 arms each, tumbling over each other playfully. These are the 6 younglings in your class, Quell said. They volunteered to work with a human teacher. Their parents gave permission. Yuna watched them play. They moved so differently from human children. The feathered ones were so light, almost floating. The crystal ones were slow but graceful. The furry ones were chaotic, using all 4 arms at once. What do they do for exercise now? Yuna asked. They stretch each morning, Quell explained. Once a week, they take a slow walk around the garden. Sometimes they practice balancing. That is all? Quell's face did something that might have been a smile. That is considered quite intensive for younglings. Yuna felt her worry grow bigger. How could you teach physical education to children who barely moved? What if she hurt them by accident? What if human exercises were too much? As if reading her mind, Taiho said, "Start slow. Observe them first. Learn what they can do before you try to expand it." The door opened, and all 6 younglings looked up. Their eyes went wide when they saw Yuna. The 2 furry ones rushed forward on all 4s, then stopped a few feet away, shy. "Hello," Yuna said softly, kneeling down to their level. "My name is Teacher Yuna. I am very happy to meet you." One of the furry ones reached out with one small arm. "You are very soft-looking," they said in a squeaky voice. Yuna laughed. "Yes, humans are soft. We do not have feathers or crystals or fur like you do." "Are you weak?" one of the crystal younglings asked. "Not mean, just curious." Yuna said. "I do not think so. But maybe we can find out together." The younglings looked at each other, then back at Yuna. One of the feathered ones chirped happily. That night, Yuna lay in her new quarters and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow would be her first real day teaching. She had no idea what to do. Human exercises seemed impossible for these younglings. But she could not do nothing. She thought about her grandmother, who always said, "The longest journey starts with one small step." Maybe that was the answer. Very small steps. So small that anyone could take them, no matter what body they had. Yuna closed her eyes and started playing. The training courtyard had soft blue mats covering the ground. Yuna stood in the center with 6 pairs of eyes watching her. The morning sun of Velmis 4 felt warm on her skin. She wore simple black exercise clothes and had her hair tied back in a ponytail. "Okay," she said with a smile. "Let us start with something easy. Can everyone spread out a little bit? Give yourself some space." The younglings shuffled around. The 2 feathered ones, who she learned were named Pibble and Tikka, hopped to one side. The crystal younglings, Shimmer and Glint, moved slowly to another spot. The furry 4-armed ones, Fuzz and Tumble, bounced excitedly to the 3rd corner. "Good," Yuna said. "Now, let us do a simple warm-up. Just follow what I do, okay? Go slow. If anything hurts, stop immediately." She started with the easiest thing she could think of. She raised both arms above her head, then lowered them. Up and down. Simple. The younglings copied her. Bibble and Tikka had no problem, their wings spreading beautifully. Shimmer and Glint moved their crystalline arms up, but the movement was stiff and slow. Fuzz and Tumble got confused about which arms to raise and ended up tangling themselves together. "That is okay," Yuna said quickly, trying not to laugh. "Fuzz, Tumble, try using just 2 arms first. Your top arms." They tried again. Better this time. After 10 minutes of gentle arm movements, Yuna noticed that Shimmer and Glint were breathing hard. Well, not breathing exactly, but their bodies were glowing brighter, which their caretaker said meant they were working hard. "Water break," Yuna announced. "Already?" Headmaster Quell asked from the side of the courtyard. Several adult aliens watched the class, taking notes. "Yes," Yuna said firmly. "Hydration is important." The younglings drank from their special containers. Each species needed different liquids. Yuna drank plain water from her bottle. "Teacher Yuna," Pibble said, his feathers fluffing up with excitement. Can you show us what humans do for exercise? All 6 younglings turned to look at her with wide, curious eyes. Yuna hesitated. She looked at the watching adults, then back at the younglings. Well, humans do many different exercises. But I can show you what I do each morning. She set down her water bottle and got down on the mat. She positioned herself in a plank position, hands flat on the ground, body straight, toes supporting her weight. This is called a push-up, she explained. Then she began, down, until her chest almost touched the mat. Up, arms straightening. Down, up, down, up. She kept going, her breathing steady and controlled. She counted in her head, 10, 20, 30. The courtyard had gone, completely silent. 40, 50. Yuna stood up and brushed off her hands. When she looked at the younglings, their mouths were hanging open. Even the adults looked shocked. You did that 50 times? Tika whispered. Yes, Yuna said. This is normal for humans. I usually do 100 in the morning, but I did not want to take too much time. 100? Glint's crystalline body flickered. You hurt yourself 100 times every morning? Yuna blinked. Hurt myself? No, this does not hurt. It makes me stronger. Shimmer stepped closer, studying Yuna carefully. Your body is so soft. How does it not break? This was the moment Yuna realized how different humans really were. She sat down on the mat and gestured for the younglings to come closer. They gathered around her in a small circle. Let me tell you about humans, Yuna said. Our home planet, Earth, is very different from your world's. It has stronger gravity, which means everything is pulled down harder. To live there, we had to become strong just to move around. Stronger gravity? Pibble's feathers ruffled. That sounds terrible. It made us different, Yuna continued. Long ago, humans hunted animals for food. But we were not fast like some animals. We were not strong like others. So, do you know what we did? The younglings shook their heads. We ran after them. For hours. For a whole day sometimes. The animals would run fast and get tired. They would stop to rest. But humans would keep coming. Slow but steady. We would not stop. Eventually, the animal would be too tired to run anymore. That is terrifying, Tumble said, all 4 arms hugging himself. That is why we can do push-ups 50 times or 100 times, Yuna explained. Our bodies are built to keep going. We call it endurance. The younglings looked at each other, then back at Yuna with new expressions. Not fear exactly, but something like awe. Can we try? Fuzz asked suddenly. Can we try push-ups? Yuna glanced at the adult aliens watching. Headmaster Quell's face was unreadable. The other teachers looked concerned. I do not think, Yuna started. Please. All 6 younglings said together. Yuna could not resist those pleading eyes. Okay, but we will do it very carefully. And just 1 or 2. If it feels bad, stop right away. She demonstrated the position again, but this time she explained every detail. Hands here. Body straight. Lower slowly. The younglings spread out and tried to copy her position. Pibble and Tika got their wings in the way and fell over sideways immediately. Shimmer and Glint managed to hold the position, but could not lower themselves at all. Fuzz and Tumble had all 4 arms spread out in 4 different directions and looked like a furry table. Okay, Yuna said, trying very hard not to laugh. This is harder than I thought. Let me help each of you. She went to each youngling and adjusted their position. With Fuzz and Tumble, she had them use only 2 arms and keep the other 2 tucked against their bodies. Ready? Yuna asked. On 3, everyone try to lower down just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. 1, 2, 3. 6 small bodies tried to do a push-up. Pibble made it halfway down before his wings gave out and he flopped onto his belly. Tika lasted exactly 1 second longer. Shimmer and Glint's crystal arms began to crack with stress and they dropped immediately. Fuzz and Tumble's 2 supporting arms trembled, shook, and then collapsed in opposite directions. All 6 younglings ended up flat on the mat in a messy pile. Yuna rushed forward, worried someone was hurt. But before she could reach them, she heard something unexpected. Giggling. All 6 younglings were laughing. Then Fuzz reached out and hugged Tumble. Pibble pulled Tika close. Shimmer and Glint leaned against each other, their bodies chiming with happy sounds. They had all folded like pancakes. And now they were hugging each other in a big pile of feathers, fur, and crystals. That was so hard. Pibble chirped happily. I almost did it. Tika added, though she had clearly not almost done it. Teacher Yuna is amazing. Shimmer's voice echoed from their crystal body. Yuna knelt down next to the pile of happy younglings. Her heart felt warm. She had been so worried about teaching them, about the differences between species. But here they were, trying their best, failing, and laughing about it together. You all did wonderfully, she said softly. Can we try again tomorrow? Glint asked. Before Yuna could answer, Headmaster Quell spoke from behind her. I think that is enough for today. But Quell was smiling. 3 weeks passed, and Yuna's life became a routine of teaching, learning, and adapting. Every morning, the 6 younglings waited for her at the courtyard, bouncing with excitement. They followed her everywhere during breaks, asking questions about Earth, about humans, about everything. Yuna created special exercises for each species. For Pibble and Tika, she designed wing-strengthening movements that helped them fly longer distances. For Shimmer and Glint, she found slow, steady positions that built their core strength without cracking their crystalline bodies. For Fuzz and Tumble, she taught coordination exercises using all 4 arms together. But every few days, they begged for the same thing. Teacher Yuna, Tumble said one morning, all 4 arms clasped together in a pleading gesture. Can we try push-ups again? We have been practicing. Fuzz added quickly. Yuna smiled. The younglings had indeed been practicing. She often found them in random places trying to do push-ups. Yesterday, she discovered Pibble and Tika in the library, attempting push-ups between the bookshelves. The day before, Shimmer and Glint were in the cafeteria, their crystal bodies glowing with effort as they tried to lower themselves. They never succeeded. They always folded like pancakes halfway through, and they always ended up in a happy hug pile afterward. All right, Yuna said. But first, warm up. The younglings groaned but obeyed. They had learned that Yuna never let them skip warm-ups. She explained that cold muscles get hurt easily, and even though their bodies were very different from humans, the principle was the same. After warm-ups, Yuna demonstrated push-ups again. She did 20 this time, nice and slow so they could watch her form. The younglings' eyes tracked every movement. Remember, Yuna said as she finished, it is okay if you cannot do a full push-up. What matters is that you try your best and you do it safely. We want to be like you, Teacher Yuna, Pibble said seriously. His feathers were standing up straight, the way they did when he was determined. Something in Yuna's chest tightened. These little ones looked at her with such admiration. They saw her as strong, as something to aspire to. It made her feel proud and terrified at the same time. Okay, she said softly. Okay, let us all try together. The 6 younglings spread out on their mats. Yuna walked among them, adjusting positions, making sure everyone was safe. She reminded Pibble to tuck his wings. She told Shimmer to keep her body aligned. She helped Fuzz figure out which 2 arms to use. Ready? Yuna asked, moving to her own mat at the front. I will do it with you. We go together. On 3. 1, 2, 3, down. 7 bodies lowered toward the ground. Yuna went down smoothly, her muscles working easily. She glanced up to check on the younglings. Pibble was shaking, his thin arms trembling with effort. Tika beside him was barely moving, stuck halfway. Shimmer and Glint were lowering so slowly they looked frozen. Fuzz had gotten confused and was using 3 arms instead of 2. Tumble was actually doing okay, his furry face scrunched up with concentration. Up? Una called, pushing herself back to the starting position. Pibble's arms gave out. He dropped onto his belly with a soft thump. Tika collapsed a second later, her wings spreading out flat. Shimmer and Glint made it back up, but were glowing so brightly it looked like they might overheat. Fuzz fell over sideways in a tangle of arms. Only Tumble managed to push himself back up, all 4 arms shaking but successful. One more, Una encouraged. Down. This time, only Una and Tumble went down. The others were already on the mat, breathing hard. Halfway through the second push-up, Tumble's arms began to shake violently. His face showed pure determination, but his body had reached its limit. It is okay, Tumble, Una said gently. You can stop. But Tumble kept trying. His arms trembled. His whole body quivered. And then, just like all the other times, he folded. He collapsed onto the mat right next to Fuzz. And in that moment, something wonderful happened. Tumble reached out with all 4 arms and hugged Fuzz tightly. Fuzz hugged back. Then Pibble rolled over and joined the hug pile. Tika hopped on top. Shimmer and Glint carefully added themselves to the growing pile of younglings. They were not crying or upset about failing. They were celebrating trying. They were happy to be together. Una laughed, a sound full of joy and love. She walked over to the pile of hugging younglings and sat down beside them. You are all so wonderful, she said. We still cannot do it, Glint said, their voice chiming from inside the hug pile. Not yet, Una corrected. You cannot do it yet. But you are getting stronger every day. I can see it. Really? Pibble's feathered head popped up from the pile. Really, Una confirmed. Tumble, you did 1 whole push-up today. 3 weeks ago, you could not even hold the position. That is amazing progress. Tumble's furry face beamed with pride. What Una did not know was that someone had been recording the whole session. One of the adult teachers had a small camera device, documenting the human teaching methods for the Coalition's records. That video of 6 alien younglings trying push-ups, folding like pancakes, and then hugging each other in a happy pile would be uploaded to the Galactic Coalition's education network that evening by the next morning. It had been viewed 3 million times by the afternoon. 12 million. The title someone gave it was Human Endurance vs. Galactic Younglings, The Adorable Truth. Una knew nothing about this as she continued her class. She taught the younglings a new game that afternoon, something called tag that humans played. The younglings loved it, chasing each other around the courtyard, their different species working together to catch the fastest runner. That night, Una returned to her quarters feeling tired but happy. She cleaned up, ate dinner, and was about to go to sleep when her communication device started making noise. It was pinging constantly with incoming messages. Confused, Una picked it up and saw hundreds of notifications. Messages from other human officers in the Coalition. Messages from alien officials she had never met. Messages from news organizations. Then she saw Captain Taiho Shin had sent her a priority message. She opened it. It contained a link to a video. Una clicked on it and watched herself and the younglings doing push-ups. She watched them fold like pancakes. She watched them hug each other. The camera had caught the pure joy on their faces. The way they celebrated their effort rather than mourned their failure. The view count was at 18 million and climbing. Oh no. Una whispered. Her communication device pinged again. Another message from Taiho. Meeting tomorrow morning. Early. This is big. Yuna set down the device and put her face in her hands. She had wanted to teach the younglings quietly, to help them grow without drawing attention. Now, the entire Galactic Coalition was watching. She looked at the video one more time. Despite her worry, she could not help but smile at the image of 6 happy younglings hugging each other. Maybe this was not such a bad thing after all. The conference room was too cold and too formal. Yuna sat in a chair that was built for someone twice her size, her feet barely touching the floor. Around the large circular table sat representatives from a dozen different species. Their faces showed expressions she could not read. Captain Taiho Shin sat beside her, his military uniform perfectly pressed. Across from them sat Admiral Hyeri Beak, the highest-ranking human in this sector of the Coalition. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair cut very short. The video has now been viewed over 40 million times. Headmaster Quell announced, their blue skin looking paler than usual. It has sparked considerable debate across Coalition worlds. Debate? Yuna asked nervously. A tall alien with scale-like skin spoke up. Some believe that human physical standards are too extreme for interspecies programs. They worry that younglings will hurt themselves trying to achieve impossible goals. My students are not hurt, Yuna said quickly. I would never, we know, another alien interrupted gently. This one had soft gray fur and kind eyes. We have reviewed all of your sessions. You are careful and considerate. But the concern is not about you specifically. It is about the broader implication. Admiral Hyeri Beak leaned forward. Let me translate that into simple terms. Some species are worried that human influence will make their children feel inadequate. Yuna felt her stomach drop. That was the last thing she wanted. She had worked so hard to make exercises that fit each species, to celebrate their unique strengths. Teacher Kim has done excellent work, Quell said firmly. The younglings in her class show measurable improvement in strength, coordination, and confidence. But we cannot ignore the political pressure. What are you saying? Taiho asked, his voice hard. The scaled alien sighed. 3 species representatives have formally requested that the human physical training program be discontinued. No. The word burst out of Yuna before she could stop herself. Please, the younglings love the class. They are learning so much, not just about exercise, but about trying new things, about supporting each other. We understand your passion, the gray-furred alien said kindly. That is why we are proposing a compromise. Admiral Hyeri Beak pulled up a holographic display. A demonstration. You will show the Coalition Council exactly what you teach and why it matters. You will also show the difference between species capabilities and human capabilities. How? Yuna asked. Adult volunteers from each species will attempt human-level exercises, Quell explained. It will help everyone understand that the goal is not to make all species like humans, but to help each species reach their own potential. Taiho's hand clenched on the table. You want to put Yuna on trial, to make her prove her worth in front of the entire Coalition. We want to give her a chance to save the program, Quell corrected gently. Yuna looked down at her hands. They were shaking slightly. She thought about Pibble's determined face as he tried push-ups. She thought about Shimmer's glowing joy when she held a balanced position for 10 seconds. She thought about all 6 younglings hugging each other, celebrating effort instead of success. I will do it, she said quietly. When? 1 week, Admiral Hyeri Beak said. That gives you time to prepare. The meeting ended, and everyone filed out except Yuna, Taiho, and the Admiral. Taiho looked angry, his jaw tight. Admiral Hyeri Beak looked thoughtful. This is not fair, Taiho said. She's doing her job well. Why should she have to prove herself because some species are insecure? Captain Shin, the Admiral said sharply. Control yourself. Taiho stood up straight, military discipline taking over. But his eyes still burned with frustration. Admiral Beak turned to Yuna. You are scared. That is good. Fear keeps you sharp. But remember something, Teacher Kim. You are not just representing yourself. You represent every human who wants to work with other species. Show them what we can offer. Show them that different does not mean better or worse. Just different. Yuna nodded, not trusting her voice. The week that followed was the hardest of Yuna's life. During the day, she taught her regular classes, though the younglings noticed she seemed distracted. At night, she prepared for the demonstration, working with Taiho and Admiral Beak. You need to create a program for each species, Taiho explained as they sat in the planning room. Something that shows their progress, but respects their biology. I already do that, Yuna said, frustrated. Then you need to show it clearly, Admiral Beak said. Make it impossible to misunderstand. On the third day of preparation, the younglings cornered Yuna after class. Teacher Yuna, Thibble said, his feathers drooping. Are you leaving us? Yuna's heart broke. She knelt down to their level. No, I am not leaving. But I need to do something important. I need to show other grown-ups that our class is good and helpful. We can help. Tumble said, all four arms waving. We can show them how much we have learned. Yeah, Fuzz added. We are so much stronger than before. Yuna looked at their eager faces. These younglings had worked so hard, had tried so many difficult things, had failed and gotten back up with joy every single time. Actually, Yuna said slowly, an idea forming. Maybe you can help. She explained her idea to Taiho and Admiral Beak that evening. Taiho immediately liked it. The Admiral was more cautious. It is risky, Hayari said. If the younglings fail in front of the council, they will fail, Yuna interrupted. That is the point. But they will fail with joy. They will show that trying is what matters, not succeeding perfectly. And then the adults will try human exercises and fail too. It will level the field. Taiho smiled for the first time in days. It is brilliant. Admiral Beak studied Yuna for a long moment. Then she nodded. Approved. But you need volunteers from the adult population too. We need Flareans, Moltecs, and Krill willing to try human exercises in front of the entire coalition. Leave that to me, Taiho said. 3 days before the demonstration, Taiho returned with volunteers. A Moltec warrior named Crag, famous for his battle skills. A Flarean pilot named Zephyr, one of the fastest flyers in the coalition. A Krill strategist named Mindweave, who had won 3 galactic chess championships. They were not just volunteers. They were heroes of their species. Why would you risk embarrassment like this? Yuna asked them as they met in the training courtyard. Crag, the massive crystal warrior, made a sound like rocks grinding together. It was laughter. Because that video of your younglings was the most joyful thing I have seen in years. If trying and failing with happiness can bring species together, then I will gladly fall flat on my face. Zephyr's feathers ruffled with amusement. Plus, I am curious. Can I do even one human push-up? Let us find out. Mindweave's 4 arms gestured in complex patterns, which Yuna had learned meant agreement. Logic dictates that we show the truth. The truth is that humans are different. Different can be valuable. Yuna felt tears prick her eyes. These accomplished adults were willing to look foolish to help her save the program. Thank you, she whispered. Now, Crag said, lowering himself onto a training mat. Show me how to do this push-up thing. The next 2 days were filled with training sessions that were equal parts inspiring and hilarious. Crag could manage 3 push-ups before his crystalline body started to crack from the stress. Zephyr made it to 5 before his wings cramped painfully. Mindweave, using only 2 arms, actually managed 8 before collapsing dramatically. How do humans do 100 of these? Zephyr gasped after his attempt. Evolution, Una said simply. Thousands of years of needing to run, to carry, to endure. Our bodies adapted. On the night before the demonstration, Una could not sleep. She stood at her window, looking out at the purple sky of Wellness 4, wondering if tomorrow would save her program or end it forever. The grand arena of the Galactic Coalition Academy could hold 5,000 beings. Today, it was completely full. Una stood in the center of the massive space, feeling smaller than she had ever felt in her life. Above her, cameras floated, broadcasting this event to billions across. Coalition space. The council sat in raised seats forming a semicircle around the arena floor. Hundreds of species were represented. Some Una recognized, many she did not. Their eyes were all fixed on her. Admiral Hayeri Beak stood at a podium to announce the demonstration. She wore her full dress uniform with all her medals. Her voice carried across the arena without effort. Today, Teacher Una Kim will demonstrate the human physical development program that has caused such discussion. She will be assisted by her students and by volunteers from the Flarean, Maltec, and Krill species. Una took a deep breath. The soft mat under her feet felt familiar and comforting. She could do this. She had to do this. First, Una said, her voice amplified by hidden speakers. I would like my students to show what they have learned. 6 small figures ran into the arena. Dibble and Tika flew in, their wings carrying them in graceful circles before landing. Shimmer and Glint walked carefully, their crystal bodies catching the light beautifully. Fuzz and Tumble tumbled in, literally rolling across the mat before popping up on their feet. The crowd made sounds of appreciation. The younglings were adorable, and everyone knew it. 3 weeks ago, Una explained, these younglings could barely do any physical activity. They could stretch a little, walk slowly. Now, let me show you what they can do. Dibble and Tika moved to one side of the mat. Una had created a special exercise for Flareans, something that worked with their wings instead of against them. They held their wings out and moved them in slow, controlled resistance patterns. It did not look dramatic, but Una explained that 3 weeks ago, they could only hold this position for 5 seconds. Now, they held it for 30 seconds, their wings steady and strong. The Florian representatives in the council leaned forward with interest. Next, Shimmer and Glint demonstrated their progress. They held a low stance, weight distributed evenly, their crystalline bodies perfectly aligned. It was a position that built core strength. They held it for a full minute without cracking. The Maltec section of the council murmured with approval. This was impressive for younglings. Finally, Fuzz and Tumble showed their coordination exercise. They used all 4 arms in a complex pattern, passing a small ball between their hands in a rhythm that required concentration and control. 3 weeks ago, they could not even catch the ball with 2 hands. Now, all 4 arms worked together smoothly. The audience clapped and chirped and hummed, depending on their species. The younglings beamed with pride. Now, Una said, they will attempt something they cannot do, something they may never be able to do. They will attempt human push-ups. The arena went quiet. The 6 younglings spread out on their mats. They got into position, just like Una had taught them. The audience watched with fascination as these small beings prepared to try something designed for a completely different species. Ready? Una asked. She got into position with them. Down. 7 bodies lowered toward the ground. Una went down smoothly and up again. The younglings made it halfway down before their bodies gave out. All 6 folded like pancakes onto their mats. And then, just like every other time, they reached for each other. Dibble grabbed Tika. Fuzz and Tumble hugged all 4 arms around each other. Shimmer and Glint leaned together with a happy, chiming sound. They were laughing, celebrating, hugging. The arena erupted in noise. But it was not disapproval. It was delight. Beings across the stands were chirping, humming, clicking with joy at the sight of 6 happy younglings celebrating their effort. Yuna felt tears threatening, but pushed them back. She helped the younglings to their feet, and they all bowed to the council together. That, Yuna said into the microphone, is what I teach. I teach effort. I teach celebration of trying. I teach that failing with joy is better than never trying at all. The crowd noise grew louder. Many beings were standing now, showing approval in their various ways. But, Yuna continued, I understand the concern. Some worry that human standards are too extreme. So now, we will show the difference. Crag, Zephyr, and Mindweave entered the arena. 3 heroes, known across the coalition. The crowd buzzed with surprise. Why were such accomplished beings here? These 3 volunteers, Yuna explained, will attempt basic human exercises. Not to prove anything about superiority, but to show the truth. To show that humans are different, and that different is not better or worse. Just different. Crag stepped forward first. The massive Moltec warrior positioned himself for push-ups. His crystal body was built for combat, for absorbing impacts, for strategic warfare. But push-ups? Down, Yuna said. Crag lowered himself. His arms shook but held. He made it down and back up. 1 push dash up. The crowd cheered. Crag was breathing hard already, his body glowing with effort. Again, Yuna encouraged. Crag managed 2 more before his arms began to crack. Small stress fractures appeared in his crystal structure. Nothing dangerous, but painful. He stopped at 3 push-ups and stepped back, holding his arms carefully. 3 push-ups. From one of the greatest warriors in the coalition, Zephyr went next. The Flareon pilot's wings spread wide as he positioned himself. He was graceful, built for flight and speed. But endurance? He managed 5 push-ups before his wings cramped so badly he had to stop. He hopped around, trying to shake out the cramps. His feathers ruffled with discomfort. The crowd laughed, but it was kind laughter, sympathetic. Mindweave approached the mat with all 4 arms ready. The Crow strategist was known for his brilliant mind, for winning battles through planning and calculation. But physical repetition? He chose to use only 2 arms, the way Yuna had taught him. His furry face scrunched with concentration. Down, up, down, up. He counted each one carefully, treating it like a chess move. He made it to 8 before his arms gave out completely, and he collapsed onto the mat. The crowd went wild. 8 push-ups was incredibly impressive for a krill. All 3 volunteers stood together, breathing hard, looking exhausted. Then Crag reached out with 1 crystal arm and pulled the other 2 into a hug, just like the younglings had done. The 3 heroes stood there, hugging each other in the center of the arena, celebrating their effort. The crowd noise became deafening. Beings were standing, waving appendages, showing approval in 100 different ways. Yuna stepped forward to the microphone one last time. I will now demonstrate what is normal for humans. Not to show off, but to show why we can help other species grow. Because we understand endurance in a way others do not. She got down on the mat. The arena fell silent again, every eye watching her. Yuna began to do push-ups. She did not count out loud. She just moved. Down and up. Down and up. Her breathing stayed steady. Her form stayed perfect. At 20. She heard gasps from the crowd. At 50. She heard complete silence. At 75. She heard someone start counting out loud. Others joined in. 76, 77, 78. The crowd counted with her. Different species, different languages, all counting together. 98, 99, 100. Yuna pushed herself up for the last time and stood. She was breathing harder than normal, but was not exhausted. This was just her regular morning routine. The arena exploded with noise. Not fear, not jealousy, but wonder. Pure wonder at what the human body could do. Yuna walked to the center of the arena, and the younglings ran to her. She picked up Pibble and Tika, one in each arm, showing another human ability, carrying capacity. Fuzz, Tumble, Shimmer, and Glint grabbed onto her legs and waist. She stood there, covered in younglings from 3 different species, all of them clinging to her with trust and love. "This is what I teach," Yuna said into the microphone, her voice shaking with emotion now. "Not to make them human. We teach them that every species has different strengths. Flareons soar through skies in ways humans never could. Moltecs withstand impacts that would destroy us. Krill strategize with 4-part thinking we cannot imagine. And humans endure. We keep going. But together we can do anything." The vote was not even close. Every single council member approved the continuation of the program. More than that, they approved its expansion to 20 other coalition schools. That evening, Yuna sat in the courtyard with Captain Taiho Shin. The sun was setting, turning the purple sky orange and pink. Taiho had a strange expression on his face. "I need to tell you something," he said. "What?" Yuna asked, still exhausted from the day. "I am the one who recommended you for this position, but not just because I thought you would be good at it." He paused. "I recommended you because you are my sister." Yuna stared at him. "What?" "But your last name is Shin. Mine is Kim." "Half-sister?" Taiho clarified. "Same mother, different fathers. I took our father's name. You took yours. We were not raised together, but I always kept track of you. When I saw you teaching those children in Seoul, I knew you were special. I knew you could do this." Yuna did not know whether to laugh or cry. "You manipulated this whole thing?" "I gave you an opportunity," Taiho corrected. "You are the one who succeeded. I just opened the door." Yuna punched his arm, not hard but firmly. "You could have told me.